Okay, so hello everyone. Uh, we have Kuntal Joyshar with us. We represent myself, Theer Tedia. This is Akshat, and Kuntal sir is also here. Kuntal Joyshar is the world's first vegan mountaineer to summit Everest not once but twice in his life. He is vegan since last 19 years. He is part of many social causes like veganism. He supports the causes about dementia and many others. We are here to talk with him about the parallel or the most rough theme we have thought on is parallels between mountaineering and corporate world. So Kuntal sir, our first question to you is: you have been a software consultant, an
Right,
engineer from
right,
Mumbai, then you went to US. You were working with the company for close to a decade. So
right,
how did this switch happen, and why did you do it? Why did you risk everything to just be a mountaineer?
right. So, first off, I was in the US and I did my master's degree in the US. I did it in computer science, and after that, I got my first job in the US. I worked there for about 4.5 years, and I decided to move back to Mumbai because I wanted to be with my family. I wanted to be with my father, and things were going great here in Mumbai. I was building out a software engineering team here for a Los Angeles based company, and technology is something that I'm really passionate about because in 8th standard, this is back in 1993 when computers were not really even accessible in India. I remember my computer screen being like the size of my entire table, and we had like 512 kb floppy disk, and that used to be like a huge number. I'm like, 512 kb, that's like state of the art. Today 512 kb is not even available in the market. So I wrote my first piece of code back then, and it was just very natural. Even though my family's business was they had a oil refinery kind of a setup, I just was never interested in that ever, and my interest was always in computer science. And luckily, my parents were very supportive, and so I went there. And then the job happened, then life happened, and again, I was building out a team here in Mumbai, enjoying my life. The pay was good, life was good. A lot of people ask me, was there like a midlife crisis, quarter life crisis, whatever. I think I was 29 when I decided to, so probably somewhere between mid and quarter life crisis. Nothing like that. Life was generally very good. I was super happy. I was doing some challenging stuff in technology world, and look, all of us want to keep doing challenging stuff. That's what kind of drives us. um,
Right.
and so it was completely by chance that my life literally took a u-turn in some sense. My wife Dipti and I were planning our vacation, and we decided we wanted to see some snow. Dipti had never seen snow in her life, and for me, it had been almost 20 years since I had seen snow. So we decided we'll go to Shimla, we'll go in the winters, and that's where we'll see a whole bunch of snow. So we land up in Shimla, and I remember for the first 6, 7 days, it would get overcast every day, but it would never snow. And we were so disappointed in some sense. We were these typical tourists. I mean, today I'm a mountaineer, but I remember back then when I remember those moments, I was like sitting in the hotel room and telling my wife, heater nahi chal raha hai room ka, pani nahi aa raha hai garam, like cribbing about things. And today I live in a 4 by 4 tent for 60 days and don't shower for 35 days, and I'm okay. I don't really care. But back then I was a typical tourist, and last day, I remember we were so disappointed. We were supposed to go back home, and this driver we met in the Shimla market, he said, "I will show you some snow." And we were like, "Oh, awesome!" We were like, "Here's our money. Take us wherever you can." And he took us to this place called Narkanda. Narkanda is also um, on the old Hindustan Tibet highway. So almost about a drive of it's about 100 kilometers. Once we reached Narkanda, we were surrounded by amazing big Himalayan mountains across the board. Uh, but I told my driver, you had promised that you are going to let us touch snow. This is, we are not here to see some snow. So he's like, okay, sure. We drive towards this place called Hatu Peak, and first half kilometer, he had a Maruti Zen. So first half kilometer we drive, and then there's just about 2-3 feet of snow and his car can't go any further. He's like, sir, मेरे पास chain नहीं है, गाड़ी भी इतना छोटा है. You know, here's a lot of snow. Go play, do whatever you need to. So both Dipti and I went in the snow, and it's like we were kids in a candy store. We like throwing snowballs at each other, playing snow angels, and just having a good time. I think 15 minutes के बाद वो fun पूरा उतर गया. But I have no idea what clicked. I think, and this is something that I tell everyone. Inherently, वो feeling आया कि यार I should take some risk and risk of going further. Even though both of us were unfit, we were not prepared. I was wearing like a t-shirt and a jeans and a chappal. We were not prepared for any of this. But यार मन में कुछ हुआ यार. This looks great. Let's go further. We went for about half an hour walk, which converted into 4 hour walk. We trekked 8 kilometers all the way to the top of Hatumata temple.
So this is a 100 plus kg Kuntal, if I'm not wrong.
It is indeed
Yes,
about
for
100.
the
It,
viewers who don't know, Kuntal 20 years ago was not as fit, not half as fit as he is. And the story he's saying he's more than 100 kg. So yes, go on, sir.
so I, believe me, I was wheezing along the way as we were climbing. So you can imagine how unfit I was, how I was not supposed to be there. But something inside clicked. We got to the top, and it was so quiet on the top. I could literally hear every single heartbeat of mine, like doop, doop. Those second ke liye, though, I was shit scared to a point where I'm looking at Dipti and I'm like, "Can you hear my heartbeat?" And I'm just kidding, I was not asking her that, um, but like first time in my life, I felt so alive. I felt that deep happiness. Sometimes, even though I'm someone who loves living in the moment, and I've always been like that potentially since my childhood, looking at my dad and kind of taking inspiration from him from that sense. But even then, like you fall into this trap of all the time planning for the future that you have not seen. Nothing wrong with planning for future. There's always, things can go wrong. You want to plan for that future, and then you're always also looking at that past mistakes that you have made. The problem is, while doing all of that, you are kind of missing out on living in the present moment. And that even potentially I got caught up in that. And when I was standing on the top, I felt like I was existing in that microsecond of a moment. And I said, "Yeah, look, I didn't decide I want to climb Everest. Heck, I didn't even know what Everest was. What I decided is that I wanted to chase that state of mind that I had attained on the top of that mountain. And that is what I kind of start, like, the thought process was. And I thought, when I come back down and go back and create this company that I was trying to create, and solve all these problems that I was so passionate about, that potentially that would give me the same feeling. But I came back home, went to the work next day, it just did not feel that way. वो passion, वो happiness, वो drive, it's just missing. And so 2 months later, I signed up for another trip to the mountains, thinking, hey, let's try. Maybe it was something to do with mountains or something. I don't know. Let's go try. So I went. The moment I reached the top of that mountain, the entire journey on the top of the mountain, I felt exactly like that. And that kind of led me down this path for the next 1.5 years, where I just went back to the mountains over and over again, until finally one day I went to Everest Base Camp, saw a sunset happening on Everest one of the evenings, and like just fell in love with Everest. वो बोलते हैं ना, एक बॉलीवुड का डायलॉग है, पहली नजर में प्यार हो गया. And so truly speaking, I fell in love with Everest on that one pivotal evening of my life. And while Everest seemed impossible for me at that point, I did promise myself that I'm going to come back one day and climb to the top of this mountain. And so, kind of sharing some learnings or takeaways from this, I think that hunch that sometimes you have, that something is probably going to change your life, don't give up on that hunch. Pursue that hunch. I think that hunch changed my life. And so, something that I tell everyone, take that step. Get over that hesitation, go do it, see how it works. And again, it's not like I went to that small trek and then I decided I'm going to climb Everest. No, I actually went through a longer journey of actually making sure that this is indeed my Everest. बिकॉज समटाइम्स तुमने कोई वीडियो देख लिया, तुमने किसी का मोटिवेशनल स्पीच सुन लिया, और ओ नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू चेंज द वर्ल्ड। उस चीज के और एक्चुअली करने के बीच में बहुत फर्क है, and you
Correct.
have to potentially see that whether you really love it, whether you can sleep in a tent for 20 days and not get bored. I mean, so many things are there you need to try out. Like, so that's the journey I went through. And also, I think the big thing here is that finding your Everest is finding that overarching dream that can kind of guide your life, or can guide that portion of your journey. For me,
Hmm.
when I found my Everest, I got that relentless drive, that relentless focus to go on this journey, to go and climb it. Without having that Everest in place, w- there's no journey, right? You're still just, going along with. I mean, I'm not going to call people directionless, or I'm not going to call people aimless or anything. But at least in my case, it literally felt like I'm just going, I'm cruising along. But what's the end goal here? Sure, I'm going to create this company, I'm going to make money. What next? Okay, what next? What next? I was like, I'm just there, I'm existing, I'm going through motions, I'm going through, I would not call rut, but it's just, there was this passion lacking. And I feel that is very important, to have that Everest that drives you, whatever that Everest is. If you end up deciding that Everest is creating that company, working on that idea, heck, creating a six pack abs, if that is what your Everest is, or buying that new dream home, whatever your Everest is, everyone has their Everest. It is your Everest. I'm no one to judge. It was my Everest. I climbed it. You figure out what your Everest is. But I feel that having that Everest will definitely make the journey easier, and I think a lot more fruitful, and a lot more happy. Um, so those are kind of some of my takeaways from that initial part of the journey, where I kind of went from being an engineer to completely going in a different direction in terms of my life and my career and everything. And no regrets, frankly speaking, zero regrets. Lot of people told me, Kuntal, you were at the cusp of your career. 10 years, you were down to a point where you were director of India operations of a company, and next step, logical step would have been to go higher, more money, more everything. Yes, but I wanted to climb Everest. That was a priority of my life. That was the sole focus of my life. That was a central piece of my life. And I have zero regrets about that. I truly believe our choices, our decisions, our regrets, everything is ours. I'm not going to blame anyone for my failures or for my successes or for anything. So I think from that sense, no regrets at all going on this journey. It has made me who I am today. If I had not gone on this journey of this, tons and tons of transformation that I've gone through, not just physically, physical transformation is what you folks see, but the amount of character development or the amount of mental forte that I have built in the last 10 years, I don't think any other journey could have given this to me. Not a corporate professional journey, for sure. I'm definitely sure about that. So no regrets. But again, our dreams, our choices, and everyone is in their own individual journey. So there's no judgment here that tera Everest chota hai, mera Everest bada hai, ye wo. Everest hai. Everest is your Everest. So that's kind of, sorry, I'll keep talking, but that's my 2 cents about this.
We can clearly see your love for fitness and Everest. Akshat, you want to go next?
Yeah, so basically, my question here was how does one, maintain rationality? I mean, you definitely have some days wherein your goal is still very far and you have
Right.
started, you are still in your, in the initial stages. So, how do you actually, keep the goal in mind, keep your bad days beside you, love them, caress them, and then move on?
Right. So since you began the question by saying rationality, I think people who decide to climb Everest are not rational. Number one. So you have to, in that sense, keep rationality aside altogether. There's no rational. Why would you climb Everest? I mean, my mother, my father, wife, my relatives, they were like, "Are you mad? Why would you climb Everest?" Like, the, so rationality is something that I wouldn't associate with my decision of climbing Everest. But of course, I understand your question. I still think this boils down to how badly you want it, how badly you want your Everest and how important it is to your life. For me, the moment I woke up in the morning, all I could think about is getting to the top of Everest. And that drove me to get to the point, because I remember back in 2010, on that fateful day, or on that pivotal day when I decided I will climb Everest. I also remember having a conversation with my expedition leader that evening. I remember walking into the dining tent, and the right side of the dining tent had all these pictures of dead bodies, pictures of people with lost fingers and lost toes and everything. I'm like, I like, my expedition leader's name was Tim, and I'm like, Tim, are you trying to sell us an Everest trip? This does not look like a very good marketing strategy. And he's like, Kuntal, I'm being realistic here. This is what happens to people on Everest every single year. And I know that you aspire to climb Everest. I have seen that on your face. I know you want to come here. I know you want to stand on that top. But I also want you to understand that to climb to the top of the world, you need a top of the world mind and you need a top of the world body. If you're not going to go on that journey, I may have to potentially put your picture up on this wall as well. And you don't want to end up on this wall. That is not something you are going on this journey for. So I understood that, kind of. And so I had to go on that journey. I knew I had to prepare. I knew I had to train. There was no room for half-assing any of this. This journey required every bit of Kuntal to be committed and all into this journey. There was no other way. It's not like, oh, I have invested 10 lakh rupees in my friend's startup. हाँ, अगर टूट गया तो टूट गया, ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा, मेरा पैसा जाए. There's no पैसा here. कुछ हुआ तो या तो मैं जिंदा हूं या तो मैं मर गया हूं. No one wants to die, right? Each one of us wants to live, fulfill our dreams, go through the life's journey. तो ऐसा नहीं था. So the stakes were really high, and I wanted it badly. I wanted it so badly that every morning I woke up with a sense of purpose, and I executed that day. And believe me, I had a lot of bad days, tons and tons of bad days. But I think it is also critical to kind of understand that if you are going to dwell on that bad day and going to let that impact your current and the future days, फिर तुम वो विशियस साइकिल में गिर जाओगे जहां तुम कभी उससे निकल नहीं पाने वाले हो. Like, today I'm a nutrition coach, so I coach a lot of people in terms of how they eat and how they look at food and how they look at nutrition. A lot of times I see people saying, यार आज मैंने यार थोड़ा गंदा खाना खा लिया, now I'm so guilty. But then they also think, the other way. यार आज मैंने एक समोसा खा लिया, और एक खा लेता हूँ, अगले दिन और एक खा लेता हूँ, और एक. They just fall into that vicious circle all the time.
It's a
And
never-ending.
correct. So it's not like one bad day should be means that you have 5 more bad days, right? Every day is an individual day. वो day खत्म हो गया. Now it's a new day, new time. You come in. हाँ, कल का दिन खराब हो गया. Noted, registered in the mind. You learn from it. You do better today, and you keep moving forward. And so I also kind of learned that, and a lot of these learnings happened on the go. Because I'd never been on a journey like this before Everest. So a lot of these were just, new learnings, failures, a whole bunch of failures that happened during the journey. I was not used to any of this. So a lot of these things were firsts. But I, I think if I had to again point out one thing, it all boils down to how badly you want your Everest and what you are willing to do for it. And for me, I quickly realized that all these failures, all these bad days, all these things, are just mere road bumps. At the end of the day, I'm going to get to the top. I just need to stay, kind of on track and just keep showing up day in, day out, day in, day out. And I knew before starting the journey, if I have to create this top of the world body and mind, if I'm 110 kilos right now with zero genetic disposition of climbing mountains, I come from a Gujarati business family. Heck, no one in my family even climbs one floor. They take a lift to go one floor. So zero genetic gift, zero background, unfit, unhealthy, and no experience whatsoever. No experience of even mental forte of facing such situations. So if I have to go on a different kind of a journey, that it's going to take time. As an engineer, I also understand कि चीजों को time लगता है. And so patience, luckily, is something through the journey I realized the kind of importance of patience. And lot of people are looking for these magic pills and shortcuts to get to the top, but and I also tried that, so I'm not going to say कि मैंने shortcuts try नहीं किए, मैंने भी shortcuts try किए, but the couple of times I tried those shortcuts, every time इतना बड़ा लॉन्ग कट हो गया ना उसके वजह से कि आई रियलाइज यार छोड़ो शॉर्टकट लेने से अच्छा गो थ्रू द एंटायर एक्सपीरियंस, गो थ्रू द जर्नी एंड जस्ट gradually step by step you create a strong foundation and then kind of you get there aram se and you succeed. So uh, I still think to answer your question it boils down to how important your Everest is to you and how badly you want it, and that you are not going to let anything else kind of come between you and your Everest. Like I was that Goda who had that blinders on, with the only thing that I could see was my Everest at the at the end of those blinders. So that's the journey I was on. I can kind of share from my experiences. At the same time, every individual who's going on such a journey will have a very different kind of blueprint to how to get to their own top, or their top of Everest. So uh, while you can learn from my journey, but I think at the end of the day you will have to make yourself n equal to 1 experiment and try it on yourself, see what works, fail, learn, potentially then succeed. So this may work for someone, may not work for someone. In my case it worked and it continues working.
Talking about road bumps, Kuntal, we know that you attempted Everest 4 times and
Right,
you were successful. I'm assuming third and the fourth time, not the
right,
first 2 times. The second time was because of the earthquake, and that was beyond your control.
right, right,
But the money goes for all the 4 times. So I
right.
want to connect this for example, me or an Akshat who are going to be business leaders or entering the corporate world after a few months. How to keep oneself motivated in spite of failing, not because of you, maybe one time because of you, maybe the second time because of an ex-boss, or maybe someone who is doing politics, and how to keep on working on the same goal with the same motivation, with that same burning desire, which may or may not work the third time or the fourth time. So
So I still remember attempt one, I went. The day I reached base camp, I couldn't even go above the base camp. 17 Sherpa guides died. My expedition was cancelled. I had to turn around, come home, stay focused, go the second time. Earthquake happened. 21 people died. 10,000 people dead across Nepal. Expedition cancelled for the second time. Uh, I think the second time when I came home, for the first time in the entire 5 6 year journey, I had self doubts. Like I was questioning myself: should I go? Should I not go? Too many people also kind of saying. I remember talking to this one person, and he was like doing some maths with me. He was like, कुंतल पहली बार गए तो 17 लोग मर गए, कुंतल दूसरी बार गया तो 21 मर गए, अब कुंतल आई थिंक तुम्हें जाना बंद करना चाहिए तो लोग भी मरना बंद होंगे. People saying such atrocious shitty stuff. I remember this one guy coming and telling me, Kuntal, you don't believe in God, that's why God is punishing you. I'm like, how does this even make any sense to you? And then some people saying, Kuntal, you just are not cut to do it, and people will say stuff. And I'm not someone who pays attention to people anyway. I have been like that for decades. I give a flying about what people say. I just don't care. As simple as that. But I truly had self doubts. क्योंकि कैसा हो रहा था ना कि तुम जा रहे हो, and going to Everest one time is like 30 lakh rupees. Yes, while I have worked in the US and I had savings and potentially I come from a middle class family, so ठीक है, तुम कहीं से कुछ कर रहे हो और वो पैसा, बट 2 बार जा चुके हो, इतना पैसा जा चुका है, इतना ट्रेनिंग में स्पेंड हो चुका है, इतना टाइम, द कमिटमेंट, 5 years I was detached from my family, just working on my dream, doing everything. uh First time थोड़े creeps होने लगे doubts, but I kind of stepped back, and when I came home I'm like, यार at the end of the day it is my dream. किसी और का ड्रीम नहीं है यार, ड्रीम तो मेरा है. चढ़ना भी मुझे ही है, पैर भी मुझे ही रखना है, उधर तक पहुंचना भी मुझे. कोई मेरे लिए करने नहीं वाला है, और कोई मेरे लिए करेगा तो भी मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. कोई पहले तो कोई कर नहीं सकता है, बट करना तो मुझे ही है, मेरा ही ड्रीम है एट द एंड ऑफ द डे. सो आई सेड, इफ आई गिव अप, then regrets for the rest of my life are also going to be only mine, no one else's regrets here. And I think if you have a dream, you also have to kind of protect it, like you would protect a newborn baby, like you would protect your own project, a dream project. You would protect it, you would nurture it. So that's the kind of mindset I had, and a mindset that no matter what, I'll get through this. I'll get through this. And I kind of promised myself that day, once when I came back from Everest, the second time is, uh, I'm going to make one last attempt. I'm going to train harder than I have ever in my life. And I had trained fairly hard, and I was a pretty good mountaineer. But I said, no, I'm going to take the training to next level, going to stay focused, going to go one last time. And if things work great, then great. If things don't work, like for example, I told my wife, I remember having this conversation with my wife saying, let's say if I'm getting down the plane and my ankle twists and the doctor says you have to go home. And if I have to come home, I'll not go back and climb Everest again. Yeah, I gave everything I had to climb this mountain. And if it didn't work out, doesn't mean it was the end of the world for me. Right? There are many other mountains that I can climb. There are many other projects that I can work on, many other dreams that I could chase. So that was very, very, वो clarity था mind में. And so last time again, I went focused, got to the top, finished my dream. So all I can say is, हाँ डिफिकल्टीज तो आने वाली है, अड़चने भी आने वाली है. There's going to be tons of adversity, there's going to be tons of challenges could be in form of politics, challenges could be in form of project difficulties themselves, challenges could just be in form of anything, right? Having a bad team in place, having, you know, all of these things in place. At the end of the day, if this is something that really really matters to you, again going back to the previous conversation that I had, how badly you want it, how, you know, how badly you want to get to the top. I think that's eventually for me, every facet, that has been the key point that has kind of gotten me through that. So you, whatever, you know, is the challenge, you overcome that challenge. Whatever is the adversity, you overcome that adversity, you fix the problem, and you keep going further. I think, imagine if I had given up in 2015 and not gone again, potentially I would have never climbed Everest. So it's almost like, in last 10 years, maybe there are 2 or 3 instances where I have been very close to giving up. And as I look back in the hindsight, I've always seen that I just had to take one step further and I made it to the top. The moment you are kind of ready to give up, you are so close to your dream. तो मुझे तभी लगता है ना कि यार, like when you are genuinely ready to give up. हाँ, कभी कभी कैसा होता है ना, लोग, मैं जिम में देखता हूँ, you know 5 rep किया ना उन्होंने, and they are like, थक गया, छोड़ो यार, जाने दो, I'm going home. That's not giving up. That's like, you know, just half-assing things. If you have put in bloody full on effort and then you are ready to give up, like that first time you are like, you know, टफ थ्रू निकल के तुम गिव अप करने को रेडी हो, आई थिंक वो एक बार थोड़ा, you know, पुश कर लो अपने आप को, I'll tell you, you will make it to the top. So that's kind of, you know, how I see things. So if you want it badly, you will persevere, number one. And I also think that most of the times, from my experience, at least now I realize, is that every time I have been closer to giving up, I was very, very near the top. Like I was literally on the top and I was, you know, almost giving up. So kind of those two things is, you know, what I can share as takeaways from my journey.
Now we know that climbing the mountain is very stressful for your body, your mind. So how do you keep yourself, how do you make sure that your decisions that you take at the mountain are very valid? I mean, how it impact, they are very high risk, high yield
Right,
times.
right.
So how do you actually come to make those decisions when, at that point, your heart is trying to pump all the blood towards your brain, and that's its main job.
Right.
So how do you, come around to, making decisions at that stage?
Right. Good question. I'll kind of say two things about this question. Number one is your training at sea level. So one is climbing the mountain, and I do not recommend people to train when they are climbing mountain. हाँ मतलब do that in kind of smaller mountains, but like I see a lot of people, हाँ मैं एवरेस्ट जाऊंगा, एवरेस्ट पे ट्रेन करके फिर चढ़ूंगा. Not a smart thing to do. So train at sea level, and make your training as diverse as possible. So for example, to give you my example, I ensured that I had Superman level physical fitness. I ensured that I had enough skill to be a reliable mountaineer, to be a good risk averse mountaineer. But a lot of my training also entailed kind of training in the dark, training in snow, ice, rock, training at 5,000 meters, training at 6,000 meters, training at 7,000 meters, training with my one hand tied behind my back. So that in case if I fell down, then I could, climb with my one hand. Training in complete pitch darkness, so that I know that if by any chance there's a concept of snow blindness, if I have snow blindness, then how am I going to kind of walk in snow blindness? Training with without any food or water for days and days in the local mountains in Mumbai. If I got lost at 28,000 feet, how am I going to survive even if I cannot survive at 0 feet? So training, I think, matters a lot. And also in training, making good judgments. Like if I know I'm knackered, let's say I have not eaten any food and I have not had any water, and now I'm knackered and I'm to a point where there is a very risky decision that I have to make. I need to make that decision right for myself. I need to be able to do it at sea level. Imagine if I'm going to make a wrong decision at sea level, there is a very good chance I will make a wrong decision at 28,000 feet, because as you rightly pointed out, your brain is not functioning. Your brain is
Mhm.
potentially at 30-40% of its decision making capability. If at 100% decision making capability you are not able to make the right decision for yourself, you potentially should not be on Everest in first place. So this is one aspect where I think both physical fitness and mental fitness training, and a very different kind of a training, is done in a very uh, risk free kind of a relatively risk free environment. And it has been repeatedly done many times, not just once, twice, or thrice. It has been done so many times that you kind of internalize these things. Like if I'm training at sea level, if I'm training at 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, repeatedly training and saying, okay, it's an avalanche condition, I'm going to back out, cancel the expedition, go home. If you have done this multiple times, then on when you are at Everest, you are standing, maybe 20, maybe, about couple of hours away from the summit, but there is high winds, and know that these winds are going to only get higher, which means now your life is on the risk. And having that capability to say, यार सिर्फ 2 घंटा दूर हूं मैं, पूरे जिंदगी के dreams है, and but I'm going to turn around and I'm going to go home because I know mountain is going to be there. I can always come back and climb it if I'm alive. So that is one piece. But second piece is also to have a good support system and good team in place. क्योंकि कभी कभी कैसा होता है ना, for example, having that relationship with your Sherpa. Like my Sherpa, his name is Mingma Tenzi Sherpa. I've been climbing with him for the 6 years. With so much partnership, with so much teamwork over a period of 6 years, Mingma clearly understands what my capabilities are as a climber. And I have given him clear instructions. Mingma, if you ever think that I'm not up to climbing this mountain, or that I'm struggling to get to the top, or that if I'm going to get into trouble, you will tell me that I need to turn around, and I will turn around. And that is kind of the partnership between us and the understanding between us. Or I even go and tell him further that if I am not willing to go down, then you forcefully actually take me down. So I think it's a combination. It has never come to that. Any Mingma's judgments are like super awesome. I trust my life to Mingma. So it is also, it's kind of training and teamwork is how I kind of look at this. In my specific case, training so that it allows me to be in control of my life, be in control of my kind of outcomes, but also teamwork, and very very trusted teamwork here. It's not like कि मैं मिंगमा के साथ एक एक्सपीडिशन पे गया, पहला ही एक्सपीडिशन है, मैं मिंगमा को पहचानता भी नहीं हूँ, आई डोंट इवन नो व्हाट मिंगमा's capabilities are, and then I'm saying हाँ मिंगमा मेरा जान बचा लेना जब भी if things go wrong. uh, you don't even know each other, right? In my case, 6 years of climbing, Mingma is my family away from home. He is literally my family, and he's going to take care of me. I know that for a fact, but doesn't mean that I take it for granted. I still train hard. I still show up in the best shape of my life. It is just that, final bit of, uh, kind of taking care of myself. कि अगर things just completely go south, like my training completely falls apart and I'm just not able to make the right decision. In kind of that case, Mingma will come in and bail me out. So it has to be from those both angles, to depend on the right team, to have the right team, and to have a team that is not just filled with yes men. हाँ सर, तुम्हें ऊपर जाना है, टॉप पे मैं लेके जा रहा हूँ तुमको. Good. Best of luck with such a Sherpa guide. You'll definitely good candidate for dying. So a team which is very honest, very frank, brutally honest on the mountain, and also your own training and your own mindset that you have developed over a period of many years. So दोनों का combination is what I think potentially going to keep you safe.
This is from a personal point of view. So we, as part of an MBA, we were part of the simulation called as a 1996 Everest expedition, wherein we were part of a team. One person was a marathon runner, one person was just a photographer, one person was an environmental enthu. So we were a team of say 5 6 people. We were told to I mean, on the simulation on the computer, just go to the Everest and make sure the goal of the entire team is not to go to the top of this Everest, but only 3 people have to go. But that we had to decide that which people to choose in eventual journey. Camp 1 में किसको सबको रहना है, Camp 2, then Camp 3, then Camp 4 पे किसको turn around करना है. Because Camp 4 पे what I've known is that there is a lot of shit and there is a lot of man-made waste there, which is lying up there. It's like a fridge. We don't have we don't have humans don't have the ability to bring that shit back. Shit and lot of man-made tents and etc. So coming from this, when you're leading a team in a corporate world, how do you decide if you're a leader? How do you decide the bandwidths or the limitations of your team members? Because you could be wrong also, and then maybe one of your junior members would feel really low कि यार मैं करना चाहता था 100, but now Dheer feels that I'm only capable of 80. So this is a wrong leader. I do not like my boss. How do you like make your team motivated and of course give them proper tasks according to their ability?
Right. So I am again going to talk from my experience. I don't corporate setup different and mountaineering setup different, but I will talk from kind of a mountaineering perspective. I have been an expedition leader a couple of times now, and Mingma Tenzi Sherpa, my guide and my mentor. He typically tends to be the big boss of the team. He tends to be the Sherpa leader, but he tends to be also the final say in everything. And both of us kind of have uh, led jointly led expeditions in past. And look, I always go in with a mindset that we need to get the entire team on the top and back down safely in one piece without kind of any injuries. So back down safely is only part. Back down safely with all the fingers, with all the toes, with no lung infection, with no brain infection, वो भी सारी चीजें देखनी है. तो our mindset is always that. And typically what we do is we will both Mingma and I will keep track of how the team is doing. Look, in Everest it's very different than how it works in corporate world. Everest पे problem क्या है? Every person who comes to climb Everest is coming with a ego the size of the mountain itself, and they all think that they are all top. They all think that they are some big mountaineers. So it's kind of that it's a team filled with leaders. So you don't have a team of look, I don't want to kind of differentiate between leader, follower, yes. Everyone is a leader in a certain context, and everyone then also has to be a follower in certain context, and be both, and know what your role is, know your strength, know your weaknesses, and kind of play to them. Be part of a bigger team and a bigger goal, and kind of achieve that. So in that sense I understand, but यहाँ कैसा होता है that everyone is headstrong, everyone wants to get to the top, and there is no single goal. ठीक है, their goal is them alone on the top. They don't care if any other team members make it to the top. No one gives a shit if someone else makes it to the top or not. They want to make it to the top. That is their singular goal. That's how Everest is, right? When you come to Everest, always you are told to each their own. You and your Sherpa, that is the team. Everything else is secondary. अगर कुछ हो गया, खुद को बचाओ और नीचे उतरो. You are not going to try and save any of the team members. You are not going to try and save anyone else. I'm just going to bluntly put it. That's how Everest is. So every year these newspaper stories come. There was this guy who was dying, but 50 people passed him. No one even gave him oxygen. No one even gave him water. It happens. That is the reality of Everest. I have told everyone, जो भी मेरे टीम में आता है, please be ready for, if shit falls apart, then this is going to happen to you. You have to be self prepared. You have to be ready to get to the top alone yourself. अगर उतने के लिए रेडी नहीं हो तो प्लीज एवरेस्ट पे मत आओ, बट लोग आते हैं. एनीवे, दैट इज अ कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट स्टोरी. बट द वे आई वर्क इज, और वे मी एंड मिंगमा वर्क इज, we always try and communicate with the team and get them on the same page that yaar theek hai, you all are here for your individual goals and individual dreams, but me and Mingma as leaders have to also put all of you on the top. We have to make that happen. So kind of, yes, they are all thinking of themselves as big climbers, but also they have to buy into our vision of how they are going to get to the top. Because a lot of times what will happen is the weather predictions that we get, the rotation policies that we make, they will all come back and say नहीं नहीं, मैंने तो है ना 1996 का मूवी देखा था, उसमें ऐसे किया था ना, इसके लिए उनका प्रॉब्लम हुआ. मैंने ये डॉक्यूमेंट्री देखा था, उसमें ऐसा हुआ था. मैं ये देखो, मैं दूसरे गोरे लोग के टीम के साथ में मिल के आया था, उन्होंने ना ऐसे क्लाइंब किया था, हमें भी ऐसे ही करना चाहिए. So they all come with different thoughts, different ideas on. We listen to all of them, but we also kind of make it clear to them that boss, we are the bosses, and that we are driving, and that we know what we are doing. We have put up people on top since many years, and we are going to take care of all of you. It's not like मैं कोई bias है मेरे में. Oh, XYZ is मेरा बहुत अच्छा friend है, मैं उसको पहले चढ़ाऊंगा, मैं उसको अच्छा शेरपा दूंगा. ये ABC है ना, वो बहुत ही खराब बंदा है, मैं उसको सड़ा हुआ शेरपा दूंगा, या एकदम एवरेज शेरपा दूंगा, ही घर पे जाएगा, मेरा पैसा बच जाएगा थोड़ा. Nothing like that. We are very open, very transparent. We clearly say, communicate with everyone right from day one. Look at how they are doing, look at what pace they are maintaining, and if we know that a certain climber is slightly weak, then the way we do is we give him the best sherpa. We give him the best support that we have. And then if someone is like really strong, then we tell them that hey, if you have a slightly inexperienced sherpa but a very good sherpa nonetheless, we will kind of pair you with that person. You are already strong, and kind of make a team such that everyone can together get to the top. Because look, on Everest, manpower matters big time. If you are all together moving as a team, if something goes wrong, then you can kind of say that इसका शेरपा लेके हम लोग इस बंदे को रेस्क्यू करके नीचे भेज देते, but बाकी together as a team we are all going to make it to the top, even with little lack of manpower. तो ये सारा कुछ is kind of driven by me and Mingma, more so by Mingma, because of his experience and kind of the respect that he commands at the base camp in general. Look, Mingma is like an elite Sherpa. He has done feats that so many Sherpa guides can't even dream of, or some of the best climbers in the world cannot dream of. So when Mingma kind of stands in a dining tent and says, boss, this is happening, then people listen to him. So kind of I'm not directly answering your questions, but I'm just kind of sharing what all happens in a real setting, in terms of, and they also, a lot of them know me. A lot of them are good friends of mine. They know that I'm an honest person. They know I'm a transparent person. So between me and Mingma, they kind of listen to us. They buy into our plan. And 2 or 3 expeditions that I've led, I have never had a person die on my team. Once we had a person who lost his fingers, but again, that was potentially something that was his mismanagement in some sense. But otherwise, no one has died, and practically almost 100% success rates of putting people on the top. So I think it all kind of boils down to the transparency, the planning, but I think overall just having a very strong leadership and kind of reputation, and kind of also track record that you have actually done in past. So like kind of people buy into your vision, because as I said, in Everest, it's a very different situation compared to what would happen in a corporate kind of a situation.
Right. Maybe a last couple of questions before we close this. We have already taken a lot of time. Sir, how do you, what drives you so much about the different causes you support? You have achieved so much in life already, from quitting the corporate world to being a mountaineering, to being a mountaineer. You are a nutrition coach. You are a vegan bodybuilder in making. You support the cause of veganism. You support the cause of dementia. You support the people. I mean, people suffering from that. What drives you there, and like how do motivate yourself to keep giving back to society after achieving so much? You could easily be, "Okay, I have been to Everest twice. Now I'll only look after my own training company or whatever I want to be, or I
Right.
want to earn money now. I've already invested, say, so much money training myself and doing what brand I am. Now let's just go about myself. Why to give back to
Right.
society?"
I think I'll go back to that instance from 2015 when I narrowly escaped a sure shot death. Uh, and I remember that kind of where I was standing, just 50 feet away from me, there was a team where 5 people died in that avalanche. And just 50 feet separated the fact that I am alive and I'm here sharing my story with you. Uh, that evening, kind of, I realized that now the life that I have is a bonus, because frankly speaking, when I saw the avalanche, you can, go on YouTube and type Everest avalanche, and there is this viral video that I was part of. And when I had seen that avalanche, in that moment, I did not think I was going to die. I was actually very, very, very certain that I was going to die. And so to come out alive out of that, uh, it was rest. Every day since I have spent since then has been a bonus for me. And I've just been grateful that I have the second opportunity to exist and pursue my dreams. But I also that evening realized, yeah, I lead a very privileged life. I don't have to think about a roof on my head. I don't have to think about food on my table. I don't have to think about anything. I can do what I want. I decided I wanted to climb Everest. I can climb Everest. But there are millions and millions of people in Nepal, because in that earthquake, at first hand we saw the amount of destruction that had happened. Millions, probably even billions of people across the world who don't even have that food on their table, roof on their head, clothing on their body. Forget chasing their dreams. Do you think that person जो अपना next पाँव बड़ा कहाँ से आने वाला है सोच रहा है is going to think about climbing Everest? Heck, that person does not have the time to, or bandwidth to think about Everest. He's just living, like, मेरा next meal कहाँ से आने वाला है? That is their hustle. That is, their entire effort. So that's where I thought, yaar, ke if I can, whatever I can do from my side. First of all, I recognize that I'm a privileged person. ए मेरे हाथ में नहीं यार, मैं इस फैमिली में पैदा हुआ यार, ऐसा, this is, what I am. This is my privilege, and I recognize that. And the second thing being, what can I do from my side to give back to the community, and make it such that more and more people can be in a situation where they can follow their dreams and passions. So that is kind of, that evening is where I decided that this journey cannot just be a personal goal driven journey, but it has also to be a journey where I have to figure out ways to give back to the community however I can. uh, which is where I got attached with a non-profit organization called Sansar Maya, where we do a lot of work around the education of a lot of under-resourced and underprivileged kids in Nepal. And I truly believe education is a great way of empowering someone to take care of their own lives. क्योंकि अगर वो लोग एजुकेटेड होंगे, वो लोग के पास स्किल होगा, तो दे विल बी एबल टू get jobs and take care of their families, and rather than giving them money. uh, so that is, one bit where I kind of got involved. And then dementia is, of course, somewhere where my father was a patient of dementia, and he was there for about 19 years afflicted by this disease. And I saw how much social stigma is attached to kind of illness is related to mind, and how much misinformation is out there. uh, लोगों को कैंसर होता है तो कैसा होता है, oh you have cancer, you should go do chemotherapy, go do consult with a doctor, go through proper treatment cycle. But the moment there is a mental illness or an illness related to mind, people are like छुपाओ छुपाओ, किसी को मत बोलो क्या हुआ है, कैसे हुआ है, oh, that's how their thinking is. And we as a family went through an entire journey of 19 years, because it's not just your loved one who is getting afflicted by the disease, but entire family is getting afflicted by such a disease. So it's a tough time. So kind of sharing the learnings that I have gotten from the journey with my father in some way to give back to the community. And so many Alzheimer and dementia cases across the world today. And if even few families get helped, where they say, "Yeah, look, they took care of their father. They gave him a good quality of life. This is how they did it. This is how their caregiving was." Like, I tell everyone that I never made my father's illness an excuse for any of my failures. मैंने कभी ऐसा नहीं बोला कि because my father was ill, I didn't succeed on Everest, or I didn't pursue my dream. क्योंकि लोग हमेशा किसी और को ब्लेम करना, अपने अंदर देखने से अच्छा, दे विल ऑलवेज लुक एट सम एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स फॉर देयर फेलियर्स. अपने अंदर कोई देखने के लिए रेडी नहीं होता. तो समथिंग आई ट्राई एंड टेल एवरीवन, नो, माय फादर had dementia and still I went and I pursued all my dreams. Because if I had made him an excuse, he would be really unhappy. If he would even have known. Knowing him, I know that. So just again, these small things, and veganism is again something where I want to give back to the animals, to the co-inhabitants of our planet, uh, those co-inhabitants who don't even make it to our priority list in any way, and they are slaughtered, they are exploited, they are abused left, right, center throughout the world. I mean, the statistics are staggering. Entire world ka population is 7 billion. In a single year, 1 year, I'm not talking about multiple years, in a single year, 80 billion land animals, I'm not even talking fishes, I'm saying 80 billion land animals are just slaughtered for food. So एक साइड हम कैसा करते हैं कि वो कुत्ता चल रहा है रास्ते पे और किसी ने कुत्ते पे पत्थर फेंका तो उसका वीडियो डाल के हम टिकटॉक पे या यूट्यूब पे डालते कि ये एनिमल क्रूअल्टी है. 80 बिलियन लैंड एनिमल्स को हम वर्स्ट वे में मार देते हैं. उस कुत्ते को तो हमने सिर्फ एक पत्थर मारा था, बट ये 80 बिलियन लैंड एनिमल्स को हम खराब वे में, like if you see any slaughterhouse videos, you will be utterly shocked. We treat them literally like inanimate objects. Like literally हम सलाद काट रहे हैं ना, उस तरह हम animals को काटते हैं. There's no difference between like a salad and a chicken. Come on. So that is another thing that I'm very, very passionate about, where I want to raise awareness about it. And so these are issues that I'm passionate about. And as a mountain climber, people always want to talk to me. And if I'm getting a platform, I think, at least in my opinion, I have to raise these issues, so that if this reaches a wider audience, and if even one person decides, let's say, to take care of their parents, to kind of go pursue their Everest, or turn a vegan, or even start eating lesser and lesser meat or dairy, and take care of animals, I think even अगर थोड़ा बहुत भी हो गया, then in some way I have made a tangible positive impact in someone's life. And that is really, really important to me. लोग बहुत बात करते हैं नेम, फेम और काफी सारी चीजों की. Frankly speaking, अगर मेरा I think what I worry about is, first of all, making this impact, and I really want people to remember me as someone who made this impact, not because I climbed Everest, not because I had this Instagram account, or I'm this influencer, and I'm doing this, or yes, I would want people to remember because I made a positive impact in their life. That I think would be probably the most mentally satisfying thing for me in life.
Thank you so much, sir. Akshat, would you give your final thank you note to Kuntal?
Yeah. Hi, sir. On behalf, now We thank you, sir, for spending so much time with us. Now, a transition from oil refinery family background to a software consultant to mountaineering and then achieving the summit of Mount Everest twice. We thank you, sir, on the behalf of PGPBL Class of 22 and BL Insight Circle for enlightening us on the parallels with mountaineering and business world. On key aspects of identifying your own Everest, accepting your bad days, and not letting yourself fall into the vicious circle of contemplation and moving on to today and the next day and the next day and so on. And then how to go about making decisions in high risk and high return situations. What we learned here was the most important part of decision making is relying on brutally honest and reliant teamwork. The key insight for us was to align ourselves with the goal, and it's not just about aligning with the goals but also about the way we want to achieve the goals. Thank you, sir, and a huge thank you to the BL community for the necessary support and suggestions for hosting this podcast. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you.